All right, welcome to Getting to Know UBC. Today, our very esteemed guest, and I think another first in Getting to Know UBC history, one of our university students, Madeleine Foster. Hello, Madeleine.
Hello.
Now, is it Madeleine or did I say Madeleine?
Yeah,
It
that's right.
is Madeleine. Do
Yeah,
people call you Madison sometimes?
all the time.
Really?
What's really embarrassing though is one time I introduced myself as Madison. I don't know where that came from.
Just because maybe you've heard it so often, or just,
I don't know.
yeah. But I call you Walnut Ridge.
Yes.
Almost, I would say almost exclusively.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you explain to the lovely people why I call you Walnut Ridge?
So that's my hometown, Walnut Ridge,
Right.
Arkansas. It's in the northeast corner near Jonesboro. It's about 30 minutes away from there. It's a really small town. So when I came to Shawnee for a preview day in 2015, I was just blown away by all the delights of a big city.
Okay. Awesome. And so the decision to come to Shawnee, you said you came to a preview day. Um, do you have a familiarity with schools like OBU? What was it about OBU that you wanted to check out? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, OBU is very special to me. It's very special to my family. Both my parents went to OBU. They met there.
Oh, okay.
My sister and her husband also went here. It's where they met. And so I've got bison blood running through me. Grew up hearing stories about cruising the poo and, the oval.
All right.
You have not said that.
We'll fix it in post.
Oh, so
Um,
sorry.
no, that's okay. You're fine. You're fine. Your dad is a professor, and was he your pastor growing up?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
For most of the time, we had quite a few pastors pass through, but
Okay. In Walnut Ridge at a church in Walnut Ridge. Okay.
yeah, it's called White Oak.
Okay. But he also teaches at where? He teaches where?
Yeah, he teaches at Williams Baptist University.
Okay. All right. And so was there any decision in between Williams and OBU, or was it always OBU?
Not really. It was always OBU.
Okay.
Not to say anything against Williams, of course, it's an excellent school. It's very small,
Okay.
which has a lot of pros to it. You get to know your fellow students and your professors really intimately. You get to put down some roots that will last your whole life. It's a really cool experience. However, I grew up on that campus. We live in faculty housing.
Okay.
So, I've been walking around there since, oh gosh, we moved there in 99, maybe 98.
Okay.
So it's just my home.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, kind of get the experience of college where you leave your family and you kind of be more independent and you create your own person and you figure out what that looks like. So,
Okay. So the leaving part, the leaving and coming to OBU, school's just part of it. Once you figure out where you're going to go to school, that's just part of it. Now you have to live. And so you lived on campus, I'm sure, for a while. You're currently living in a house with some friends, so some roommates. But I would think, well, I know this, I hope this, for those who of faith and who want to follow Christ, church is a huge part of that life and a huge part of developing that life. So talk to me about how you connected to University Baptist Church. Were there other churches that you kind of were with before in Shawnee, or has it been UBC from the beginning?
yeah, that's a good question. When I was a freshman, I, had a list of churches and I would go down through the list and I would visit one church a week. And I would remember pros and cons from that church. And like, I would try to find their mission statement and I would talk to the people. And then I would immediately call my dad and I'd be like, okay, so is this a good church? And I kind of had this aha moment after I'd cycled through quite a bit of the list. I was like, oh, I have to figure out how to do that for myself. Like that's part of growing up, is figuring out how to do things for yourself and
Sure.
figuring out what's the right next move for me and what should my home church look like and where can I best serve. And I went to Life Church for a while. I went to Frontline for a while. I went to a bunch of different churches, but UBC was actually the first church I visited in Shawnee. First weekend, just walked right across the street from WMU. And I remember Dr. Newsom was there and he came up to us group of girls and he shook our hands and he asked our names and he was like, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Please come back next week. And we did, and he remembered our names, and that meant a lot to me. And so I kept visiting, other churches, and I prayed about it for a long time. and finally just felt like God was really calling me to UBC, and I can see why now.
Yeah.
It's been an enormous blessing.
It's great. And so connecting, I'm always interested in, I mean, it's one thing to get somewhere. It's a whole other thing to connect. So I'm assuming the University Sunday School class has been a big connection for you, or an important connection. And I've gotten to see you in the brief time that I've been here connect others to that Sunday School class and kind of bring people along with you. And that's always really cool to see. But, and you mentioned Dr. Newsom in knowing your name, and what a huge connection that is to any place. I think that's a great lesson. But what else? How have you connected to UBC? How has UBC helped you to connect, and how have you helped to connect others?
That's a good question. I think I've met a lot of people through UBC, through college ministries, through, small group, through home group, whatever you want to call that,
Right.
that I would not have met otherwise. I've met a lot of really high quality people through church. So that's been really cool, really interesting. And then also it's been really nice to be able to, plug into younger OBU students and kind of be like, hey, do you need a church to go to? Like, I've got a car, I can drive us.
Awesome.
So that's been really nice. It's also been really nice to find opportunities to serve through that and kind of plug into your church, but also plug into the local community. So that's been really fun.
Cool. And now here you are, preview
Mm-hmm.
day in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're just at the very end of March 2020, DV, during virus, as I like to call it. And you're gonna graduate in May.
Yeah, God willing.
God willing, right? You said online classes are going pretty well.
Yeah.
And then what? Then what after May?
That's a great question. Just so many good questions.
Well, thank you.
I don't know.
Right.
I applied to some grad schools last semester around Thanksgiving time, and I still haven't heard back from them. Hopefully I will hear back soon.
Sure.
So I applied to University of Oklahoma in Norman, and then I
Okay.
also applied to University of Arkansas in Fayetteville.
And what area are you interested in studying?
Yeah, so right now I'm majoring in psychology, and the long-term goal is to be a professor, because I would love to be in that role, serve in that role, kind of give back to college students the way I've been given a lot during these times. And so I applied for psychology graduate programs at those schools.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm. And yet, as you said, I don't know, because as of 3 weeks ago, all of us in some form or fashion, things just became different very quickly, and it almost seems like it's changing every day in some respects.
Yeah.
You're at a point in your life where change was inevitable anyway. Graduating college, now you have all the tools you need to be a highly functioning adult, all of those kind of things. And so it's almost been change upon change. And this isn't the Freak You Out podcast, but it's just, how are you dealing with all that? How are you dealing with change upon change?
Oh gosh. We were all going to have to leave OBU eventually.
Sure.
It's just sooner than we thought, which, stinks. But, I've cried a lot about it. I've been mad about it, but I'm coming away with just like this feeling of gratitude and peace about it, which is nothing but God. I think about how upset I am that I'm missing out on like the last month and a half of school, and I didn't get to say goodbye to my friends in person. But then I think about like how lucky we are to have all this technology at our disposal, and we can do Zoom meetings with our friends. I've done that a couple of times with a bunch of yahoos at like till 2 a.m, just doing nothing but talking. And so that's been a blessing. And then, I think about how sad I am that it's ending sooner than I thought. And, all these things that I keep thinking, well, I didn't get a chance to do this or that or whatever, but I've gotten over 3.5 years of like really good experiences and really good relationships and memories to take with me. So I'm coming away with just this like, wow, God, like, thank you kind of thing.
So in the middle of change, through frustration and anger, not without frustration and anger, those definitely were there. You've begun to come out on the other side grateful. What's that feel like? What's it feel like to be grateful while people around you and while culturally, that's a hard thing to grasp right now.
Yeah, I don't understand it because it doesn't make sense. To be like, you know what, God, thank you so much. You're so good. Like, this is awesome. Like, when I've got all my things right here, all my belongings in a pile right there. That's what I'm gesturing to.
Right.
I'm packing and it's March. I'm not supposed to be packing until May. I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk at graduation. I don't know if I'm going to go. Like, there's just a lot of like, I don't know. And I was supposed to present some paper at a conference in Texas, and that's been postponed till August. If I even can go, it's a lot of,
Right.
But there was a lot of to this, anyways. I don't know if anything has ever gone quite according to plan,
Right.
yet so far in my life. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. We should say you mentioned your family. Shout out your dad's name. Your dad is.
Yes, my dad is Dr. Robert Lee Foster III.
And your mom maiden name when she was at OBU was
Leandra Land.
Okay. Say the first name again.
Leandra.
Leandra. That's right. I've met your mother. We discussed the name. And now you have an older sister. You said
Yes.
right?
Yes, Natalie Morris.
Okay. And then your brother is a current student and one of our great friends here at UBC.
Yeah, he's a baby bison. He's a freshman.
There you go. So you'll have instances to be back around Shawnee.
Oh, for sure. I'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now I want to call you Madison. Madeleine, thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for what you mean to UBC. Obviously, our university department is an integral part of who we are. And to see you, as you said, meet a lot of high quality people and get to intersect with all of our church. You're the poster child for what we want to happen. And so thank you so much for that. We'll be praying for you, and thank you for the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say thank you so much to just all of UBC for really pouring into your college ministry group. It makes a big difference. It's very appreciated.
All right. Thank you.